Next time someone tries to tell you who you are, bitch, say, nah, I'm sentience. And then they'll be confused. And then you just walk away. Who cares? You don't have to finish the conversation. Bitch, this section f***ed me up. From Supercharged Self Healing, the revolutionary guide to access high-frequency states of consciousness that rejuvenate and repair. So now we're getting into the good stuff. And if you haven't heard, I'm going to read a couple pages of each chapter on here, and then I'm going to finish the rest of the chapter. Sometimes I'll do a bonus extra chapter on my Patreon. And there's a level called Just Here to Listen, $5 a month. That's it. I know we got so many subscriptions, but this one is helping a gal out that you like. So maybe do it. Patreon.com/Krystyna Hutchinson. The rest of this chapter reading, by the time this episode airs, will have already been up on Patreon. And you can sign up for a free trial, but I think it's only 3 days. But if you want to binge all of them in 3 days and then just cancel it, you absolutely can. I fucking do that. I'm not above that. But this is a really good chapter. So this is getting into like the good stuff. And I'm only going to read a couple pages of it because it's a long one. I'll read the rest on the Patreon. But he gives you some exercises in the end of this chapter that you're not going to hear, but I am going to give you one of them before we leave because it's very potent and it's very immediate, and your girl loves that. Okay, so I want to give that to you. Okay, so this next part of the book that we're diving into is called Part 2, Ascend the Frequencies Healing Technique. Now, this is the technique that this guy, RJ, used to completely heal himself from chest-down paralysis and being on death's doorstep, okay? And all the doctors, they meant well, hopefully, and they said, sorry, dude, you're going to die, basically. And he was like, no, I'm not. Can you close my door? BRB, in 100 days, I'm going to be walking. And he was. So this is getting into like what he actually did. And it's very potent and very exciting. Very exciting. So step 1, access your true essence. This is the step 1 of the Ascend the Frequencies healing technique, okay? Who, or more accurately, what is the real you? No idea, RJ. Been trying to figure that out for 36 years. In part 1, we established that we're not our physical body, and we're also not our ego mind identity, which is the conceptualized character we create with whom we misidentify our immortal selves. So again, it doesn't hurt. Remind yourself of this every day. This is what I say to myself every day. I am not Krystyna. I am sentience. And this go-around, this little lifetime that I chose to do, right now I'm playing the role of Krystyna Marie Hutchinson. Big-titted, funny podcaster. While this is a simple truth, the finite human mind will do its best to stop you from embracing it. Non-acceptance is how the belief-based egoic identity protects itself from demise because self-awareness exposes the false self for the parasite that it fucking is, okay? So whenever you feel yourself pushing up against a concept, that's your ego, boo. That's your ego, boo, okay? Go, hey, ego, I see you. The finite and conditioned human mind is separation, division, compartmentalization, and memorization. It does this endlessly with everything, including to itself through nonstop analysis and judgment. Ugh, I know, it's so exhausting. It operates more like a parasitic virus, trying to divide, conquer, and subdue its host. Take me out to dinner before you subdue me, jeez. It perpetually separates and therefore can never see unity when it looks within or at the world. That's why so many people are just racist pieces of shit. Your egoic identity is disharmony itself and can only produce further disharmony. Cute. It woefully lacks any authentic power, and it's why we cannot heal ourselves or evolve our sentience while in servitude to it. Like a computer virus, your limitation program is always running as your default setting, but you can override that, bitch. Sentience, which is what we really are, so you listening to this right now, remind yourself you are sentience. It's always aware. It commands energy into your mental body, which produces the phenomenon called thinking. Now get this. Thinking is simply the movement of the past. Thank you. That was RJ's words, not mine. One cannot be the awareness of thoughts and the victim of them at the same time. Oh, hit me where it hurts, RJ. This is simply impossible. What actually happens is we lose the self through misidentification with the creation of thought. So that's why we talked about earlier, and I've talked about this before, when you over-identify with any of your identities, like even me, like if I over-identify as a comedian, I'm not a comedian. And he has such a good example that we're going to get into very soon about this. You choose your feelings just as you choose your thoughts. You may not consciously be aware of this because your deep programming, born of the reactionary state of your belief-based egoic identity. Think of it this way. The belief-based egoic identity judges and reacts, while sentience observes and responds. Those words, they feel a lot different. The egoic identity must react because it misidentifies itself with the experience. Hence, we become a victim, there's that fun word, to our creations, as well as other people's creations. This is why you may struggle with control of emotions, Krystyna. Okay, RJ, get off my dick. This also provides a glimpse into how disharmony manifests within our body of originally pure energy. Sometimes you choose to watch a scary movie so you can experience the thrills and chills. But if you just observed the movie in a detached state, you would never get scared by what's on screen. Oh, that reminds me, every time I watch a scary movie, I just get so into the movie that I'm like lost in the world of the movie for the next 2 hours after the movie ended. It's kind of fun. You choose to read a romantic novel to experience passion and desire. You choose the feeling you want to experience by what you reach for, but you eternally remain the awareness of it all. Ooh, that's an example that I totally understand. And just like thoughts, because you are aware of feelings, you cannot be your feelings. That's such good news. So I am not my anger. I am the one who's aware of it. And how it's pussy-ass bitch move. You are the sentient awareness that commands the energy within your larger body of energy in order to experience these temporary creations. You are always aware of what you feel. Isn't it exhausting? Which also makes being the feeling impossible. And this is exactly the shit that Michael Singer said in The Untethered Soul. I am not my emotion. How can I be my emotion? I'm the one that's aware of it. Oh, bitch, what up? Thinking that you are the feeling is also a product of deep-rooted misidentification. Just like thoughts, if you were your feelings, when they pass, you would pass too. Sometimes that sounds nice, but it's not overall. Yet you remain right here with me right now. Let's look at the monumental gulf between being and identifying. This is a good example. I love this one. For example, when I say, I love drumming, I instantly connect with the feeling of unlimited creative musical expression, the joy of rhythm that flows through my entire being, and the internal freedom I experience when I'm open to inspiration. It's pure joy, and time literally ceases to exist. Yes, give me that flow state. In comparison, when I say, I am a drummer, I immediately feel the weight and responsibility of what being a drummer means to me as a belief or concept. Oh, such a good example. A previous mental and emotional placeholder now has to be lived up to. Am I good enough to call myself a drummer? Should I be able to play for money? Will other people think I'm good enough to call myself a drummer? Shouldn't I know more patterns, techniques, and time sequences? The moment I misidentify myself as a drummer, joy and freedom are replaced with the conceptualized mental responsibility and emotional weight associated with the concept of what it means to me when I say I am a drummer. While I love drumming and I am a drummer seem similar, they are different forms. They are the difference between freedom, joy, and unlimited creative expression, and onerous, confining responsibility of a role. Oh, that shit slaps for me, okay? That really, because now when I talk to people, when I read that, I was like, fuck, I'm going to talk to people in a totally different way, because I totally feel the stress of when I say, even I do this all the time with projects. I fucking put the cart before the horse. When I start on a project, I tell people that I'm doing it, and then they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. That's really exciting. And then I feel so much pressure that I don't do it. And I become a fainting goat. And so, well, one, with that problem, I just don't talk about it. But like with the drumming, I am somebody who has been taking drum lessons for about a year, but I don't say I'm a drummer, number one, because I'm not, but two is because he's exactly right. Now I feel all this pressure. And then what is somebody going to ask me to play? I had a woman email me asking me to play who's in a famous band. I got to email her back. Whoops. That was in October. And then I'm like, I can't play. I'm not good. I'm not good enough. So immediately me saying I'm a drummer, there's all this pressure. But if I just say, oh, I really love drumming and I'm taking lessons, that's it. That's such a better way to talk about it, because it's freedom. Transitioning from being to identifying happens nearly instantaneously due to the control your egoic identity has over your beingness. Ew, get out of here. Detachment or pure observation is required to tangibly and experientially know the difference. Identification suffocates imagination. Houston, I repeat, identification suffocates imagination. Oops, lost my page. Give me a second. It's going to take a while. Whoops. Okay. But that's so true. It's so true. And that's why like I said a couple episodes ago, thinking is resisting. That is so true. When you sit and try to think, I'm going to make a new brilliant hour of stand-up, nothing's going to come to you because you're trying to force it. You know what I mean? So again, identification suffocates imagination. What a good sentence. It enslaves your sentience, imprisoning its freedom and supernatural ability to endlessly create harmonic perfection in its limitless fashion. Once incarnate, your primary creation born of misidentification, which we all have, the ego-mind identity, is the entire cause of your suffering. Found it. What you really are is simply too large, limitless, perfect, and divine to fit into the totality of all beliefs, concepts, and ideologies. See, now that should be on a Valentine's Day card. Many of my students quickly grasp that they are not their thoughts, but struggle with the emotion part. Many say, I can't help but feel how I feel. Well, for now, you can't help feel how you feel because it's part of the limitation program of who you think you are. And remember, and how you feel about yourself. This is how the ego identity works. Remember, you are the awareness of everything, not what you are the awareness of. The ego identity creates and experiences life through a conglomeration of past stimuli that you misidentify as the self. RJ's words are really getting to me. Okay. Mistakenly, you identify these with transitory phenomena and believe in their authenticity and permanence, meaning emotions. The disharmony leads to all disease and disrepair because all disharmony is created through disharmonious thought patterns. That's why, a lot of times when you're having a bad day and someone, or like you have a medical diagnosis or anything bad happening and people are like, cheer up, like, fuck you. But also, yeah, that would kind of fix it. They are, okay. So your ability to perceive beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and the body and its experiences means they're not you. They are all projections, while you, which is sentience, are the pristine creator and awareness of it all. Sentience gives depth, context, and understanding to every single moment of your entire existence, incarnate or not. In truth, we're observing our human experience when we play with our pets, talk with our friends, go out to dinner, or play an instrument. Otherwise, without our perpetual observation, how would we know that anything is taking place? Now, I can't think about that sentence more than 5 seconds because my brain explodes. You are not the thought, feeling, action, hope, expectation, belief, body, or ego identity. Therefore, you are not who you think you are or how you feel about yourself. Isn't that good? You're not how you feel about yourself, boo. I can't imagine if you're listening to this podcast, you might not feel great about yourself. I mean, hopefully you do, but odds are there's a chunk of you that don't. But hey, guess what? You're not how you feel about yourself. RJ said it, so that means it's true. You're way beyond all of that. Sentience is a mortal creator awareness given energy to work with. Sentience has the desire to know and evolve itself. The human experience is simply one way sentience accrues and deepens. Because that's the point of being here, apparently, from what I've gathered. You're here to have a human experience. So your sentience, which is high vibration, goes, all right, I'm going to incarnate into this body. I'm going to be these two people's kids, and I'm going to be this gender, and I'm going to have this shit to work on. But you have to lower in vibration. That's why this whole ascend the frequencies healing technique, it's called that because your sentience has to basically dim its light to be a person. And so he's trying to teach us how to make that light shine bright like a diamond so we cannot be paralyzed no more, okay? Once a belief-based habitual mental construct of who we think we are and how we feel about ourselves has been formed, we run this limitation program with every stimulus, including people we encounter thereafter. That program runs by thinking. For example, when information, which is sensory perceived data, is aligned with our belief-based programming, we welcome it on board and work with it. Oh, this example really hits. When somebody expresses an opinion that backs up a belief you identify with, like when you hear that someone you already don't like did something bad that you didn't know about. I'm already getting excited. You then use this new information as confirmation bias or proof that your belief is true. Ooh, call me out, RJ. I don't like it. Similarly, when information doesn't coincide with facets of our programming, we reject it and often get triggered. Who, me? Maybe the same person whom you hold a negative belief about just did something considered kind. Don't like that. That new information will cause cognitive dissonance because it doesn't coincide with your programming, which are your beliefs. One or the other must then be rejected. Damn, I feel so called out. Either way, you are trapped within duality. Thought comes from beliefs and is filtered through the ego identity, while inspiration is born directly of sentience. And man, let's take a second. Let's take a pause real quick. When you're thinking, it feels a certain way in your body. But when you're inspired, totally different feeling in your body. You don't even feel your body because it just feels natural, you know? I'm pausing because I need water, but I also am pausing because you should just think about that for a second. Thoughts come from beliefs and is filtered through the ego identity. The direct alignment with the sentience is what's known as being in the zone. Ideas are flowing to the person without any filtering, critiquing, or any other mental interference. A new solution for any problem or challenge is an example of this. The identity is the ego. The ego is the mind. The mind is thought itself. And thought is simply movement of the past, which is fed by beliefs, concepts, and ideologies that you picked up along the way. You know, I could have grown up in a household where my parents drilled in me, I don't know, let's say, Jesus thinks you're bad if you're gay. They didn't drill that into me. They drilled a lot of other stuff into me, but that wasn't one of them. And I could believe that because my parents told me. I'm a kid. My parents are telling me stuff. I don't know how to get money or to take care of myself or to cook food. They do, so they must know what's right. And that's why when we're kids, we're just getting tricked left and right, okay? And it's not until you're in your 20s where you go, is something fucked up? I feel like the thing that I've been told to believe isn't true. And then you ignore it. And then in your 30s, you have a mental breakdown in public and it gets real embarrassing. And then you're like, oh, maybe I need to re-examine my entire life. Cute. Even if we imagine a future, it is always based upon the past. There is no self-healing when one dwells in the past or projects it into the future. All your power is in reclaiming your energy that your egoic identity has hijacked. So that's a very important thing that he just said. We spend too much of our energy. Every day you wake up with a gas tank full of gas, and that gas gets used throughout the day. We are all walking around using most of our gas in our gas tank to back up the bullshit that our ego feeds to us. Over-identifying with things. I'm a comedian. I'm a woman. I'm a comic. I'm a podcaster. I'm sentience. Okay? Next time someone tries to tell you who you are, bitch, say, nah, I'm sentience. And then they'll be confused. And then you just walk away. Who cares? You know, you don't have to finish the conversation. This occurs while fully experiencing the freedom and limitlessness built into every moment. The egoic identity is simply a construct that continually pushes the limitations of the past forward rather than experiencing the only reality that authentically exists. Now, what is? Fresh, finite possibilities. Okay, 2 more pages, y'all. The limitations of the so-called knowledge. Oh, you know what? Actually, I just want to read this one because then the rest of it I want to read for the Patreon because I looked at the timer. Already doing 50 minutes, okay? We're going to do an under an hour episode, guys. So I'm going to give you a preview of the steps that he's going to go into further. That's the stuff I'm going to read on the Patreon because it's like, 10 pages. So step 1, shortcuts to dissolve the ego mind identity. These practices will act as shortcuts to help you dial down the ego mind. Sign me up for that. How we live is how we die. They will help you to drop away from your beliefs and instead enter into your natural, harmonious state. Well, that sounds fucking nice. Part of this practice involves self-inquiry. Self-inquiry is a direct and powerful way to dissolve what has gotten in the way of the self. When the fire of self-inquiry is burning, stoke that flame, baby boy. It will burn away everything that you are not. In the beginning, do the following 4 exercises as outlined precisely here. And this is just summing them up, and then he's going to go into each one individually and give very specific examples. But step 1, ask yourself, who am I? Do it right now, real quick. Pause it. Or just say, who am I? Say it out loud. I fucking dare you, okay? Step 2, fingers to your chest. So your pointer finger and your index finger and your middle finger into your chest. Step 3, imagine you are a pair of eyes floating in space. So you got to close your eyes for that one because it's hard when you're seeing. But I've done this before and it fucking works. It's very potent. And he'll get into more specifically how to envision this. But just imagine, close your eyes and imagine you are 2 eyeballs where your 2 eyeballs actually are, and you're just floating in space. Just 2 eyeballs walking around. Why not, And then step number 4, say, I don't know. So it's ask yourself, who am I? Put your fingers to your chest. Imagine you're a pair of eyes floating in space. And then respond, by saying, I don't know. Do each exercise for 5 minutes individually, 3 separate times a day. Once upon waking, once before lunch, and once again before dinner or going to sleep. These protocols are effortless and increase your usage as much as you like. So I'm going to read on the Patreon the last 5 chapters, 5 pages of this chapter that go into these steps, but I want to give you one thing before I leave. This is a cool one. Don't do it while you're driving. What do you do? Any spreadsheets? What do you need? Treadmill? He taught this in the book, and I did it, and I was like, holy shit. And then I had my boyfriend do it while he was working on something. He was really frustrated editing something. And I told him to pause and do the thing that I'm about to tell you. And he he looked different afterwards. It was really cool. So your heart chakra is in the center of your chest. I used to think it was basically in between your nipples, but apparently it's below your clavicle, above your tits. So the center of your chest. So put your pointer finger and your middle finger onto the center of your chest. Close your eyes, but if you're driving, do not close your eyes, okay? Don't want that on my conscience or for you in your life. But hey, if you get paralyzed, you know how to heal yourself. Don't get paralyzed. So put your 2 fingers in the center of your chest and close your eyes and just feel the sensation of those 2 fingers on your chest. Just concentrate on that. Now, reach deep from inside yourself and touch your 2 fingers from inside yourself. And imagine your heart chakra opening up when you do that. Oof, I just did it. It's fucking, it's potent, I gotta say. And you could do that to any chakra. So he also talks about doing it to your crown chakra, which is the very top of your head in the center, putting 2 fingers on the top of it, closing your eyes, taking a second. You might not feel it right now because I'm walking you through it in a little bit of a manic way, but do it on your own after you listen to this episode. Put your 2 fingers on the very top of your head, close your eyes, just focus on the sensation of your 2 fingers at the top of your skull, and then deep from within yourself, touch from the inside those 2 fingers on your skull. You will feel the energy around that chakra open up. It's wild. Okay? Thank you. Thank you very much. Guys, we did it. We did it. We're here. We're not using anger in place of courage. We're going to be brave, and we're not going to throw board games, and we're not going to get butthurt, and we're going to try our best every goddamn day, okay? Some of us were given the tools, and some of us weren't. But that's okay. That's why you're here. And thanks for being here, guys. Congratulations. I'll talk to you next week.
Someday we'll be friends with the voices in our heads. The voices in our heads.